the cadet nobody wanted. The Galactic Academy prided itself on preparing the finest officers in known space. Across its vast orbital campus, cadets from hundreds of species trained together, learning strategy, diplomacy, engineering, and warfare. Every graduate was expected to become a leader. Human Cadet Ethan Walker was not what anyone had in mind. Most instructors considered him a problem. He was intelligent enough to pass every exam, but he rarely behaved the way people expected. While other cadets spent their free hours studying fleet tactics, Ethan disappeared into maintenance bays, wilderness simulators, or supply storage rooms. He seemed far more interested in survival skills than military protocol. The strangest part was his obsession with fishing. Many alien species didn't even understand the concept. Ethan spent hours explaining rods, bait, rivers, and lakes to anyone willing to listen. Most weren't. Human Walker, Instructor Kvarn once said during a tactical briefing, "Why are you drawing aquatic creatures instead of paying attention?" Ethan looked up from his notebook. "I'm designing a better fishing lure, sir." The entire classroom groaned. Kvarn pinched the bridge of his snout. "You are attending a military academy." "Yes, sir." "And you are designing fishing equipment." "Also, yes, sir." The instructor walked away before saying something he might regret. Stories like that followed Ethan everywhere. To many cadets, he was entertaining. To many officers, he was an embarrassment. When the opportunity came to assign a dangerous mission, Ethan's name appeared on the list surprisingly quickly. The mission involved planet Vargos 9. At the mention of the planet, conversations throughout the academy grew quiet. Vargos 9 was infamous. For nearly 2 centuries, every expedition sent there had vanished. Survey drones disappeared. Research teams never returned. Rescue missions met the same fate. The world earned a grim nickname throughout the galaxy: the no-return planet. Officially, the Academy described the mission as a reconnaissance assignment. Unofficially, many believed it was a death sentence. A meeting of senior officers gathered inside a briefing chamber overlooking stars. "The cadet is resourceful," one officer said. "He is expendable," another replied. No one argued. Several days later, Ethan stood inside a launch hangar staring at the shuttle assigned to him. A few friends came to say goodbye. Most looked uncomfortable. "You know this is insane, right?" asked a reptilian cadet named Syrinx. Ethan shrugged. "Maybe. Nobody comes back from Vargos, and then I'll be the first." Syrinx shook his head. "Why are you smiling?" Ethan grinned. "I heard the rivers there are huge." The alien stared at him. "You're thinking about fishing." "Of course. You might die. Still worth checking out the rivers." Syrinx finally laughed despite himself. Hours later, the shuttle departed. The journey remained uneventful until Vargos 9 filled the cockpit window. The planet looked beautiful. Massive oceans reflected sunlight. Endless forests covered entire continents. Towering mountain ranges pierced the clouds. Then everything went wrong. Warning alarms exploded throughout the shuttle. Navigation failure. Communication disruption detected. Orbital interference increasing. Ethan grabbed the controls. Come on. The shuttle shook violently. Systems failed one after another. The planet seemed to pull him downward. A final surge of unknown energy struck the vessel. The engines died. The shuttle plunged toward the surface. Ethan barely managed to activate emergency thrusters before impact. The crash tore through dense jungle. Metal screamed. Trees shattered. The shuttle skidded across the ground before finally stopping. Silence followed. Ethan opened his eyes. Somehow he was alive. Outside the cockpit, enormous trees stretched hundreds of meters into the sky. Strange calls echoed through the jungle. Something massive roared in the distance. Ethan climbed from the wreckage and surveyed his surroundings. The Academy would probably assume he was dead already. He checked the communication array. Damaged, not destroyed. That was good enough. Over the next 2 days, Ethan built a shelter near a river, repaired basic equipment, and established a small survival camp. On the 3rd morning, he noticed something interesting. The river was full of gigantic, fish-like creatures. Some were larger than speeders. Ethan's eyes lit up. Now that's impressive. Using salvaged electronics, he repaired a camera drone and linked it to the weakened transmitter. A connection flickered to life. Back at the academy, technicians rushed to alert the command staff. A signal from Vargos 9. The impossible had happened. Instructors and cadets crowded around a viewing screen, expecting a desperate rescue request. Instead, a video appeared. Ethan sat beside the river, smiling casually. A fishing rod rested across his knees. He waved at the camera. "Hey, everyone. Ethan here. Welcome to day 3 on Vargos 9. The room fell silent. Ethan pointed toward the water. "Today we're trying to catch whatever giant thing keeps stealing my bait." The transmission ended. Nobody in the academy said a word. For the first time in academy history, someone had survived Vargos 9, and apparently he was treating it like a fishing trip. The galaxy's favorite vlogger. The transmission from Vargos 9 spread across the Galactic Academy within hours. By the next morning, it had spread across the entire planetary network. Millions of viewers watched the recording of Ethan Walker sitting beside a river on the most feared planet in known space, calmly discussing fishing techniques as if he were on vacation. The reaction was immediate. Confusion, disbelief, then fascination. No one had ever survived Vargos 9 long enough to send a meaningful report. Yet the first successful transmission in nearly 2 centuries wasn't a military briefing. It was a fishing vlog. Inside the Academy's command center, Instructor Kvarn watched the recording for the 10th time. "I trained this human," he muttered. One officer sighed. "Are all humans like this?" "No." Kvarn paused. "Some are worse." Meanwhile, on Vargos 9, Ethan was having the time of his life. His camp had grown considerably over the previous week. Using pieces from the crashed shuttle, he built a sturdy shelter overlooking the river. Solar panels powered basic equipment. Rain collectors supplied clean water. Most survival experts would have described his situation as extremely dangerous. Ethan described it as pretty nice. His second transmission arrived 7 days later. This time the audience numbered in the millions. "Welcome back, everyone," Ethan said cheerfully. The camera rotated to reveal his camp. "Today we're upgrading the shelter and trying a new bait mixture." Comments flooded the live network. Many viewers were less interested in the shelter than the enormous shadows moving through the forest behind him. One shadow was particularly large. Something massive watched Ethan from the tree line. The audience noticed immediately. Ethan didn't. As he continued explaining his fishing setup, the creature slowly emerged from the jungle. Gasps echoed throughout countless viewing stations. The beast was enormous. Its body resembled a combination of wolf, dragon, and reptile. Dark scales covered powerful muscles. Massive claws dug into the earth. Rows of sharp teeth filled its jaws. The creature could have swallowed Ethan whole. Back at the academy, panic erupted. "Turn around," someone shouted at the screen. "Ethan, behind you." Of course, Ethan couldn't hear them. The beast moved closer, then closer. Millions watched, expecting the inevitable attack. Instead, the creature suddenly stumbled. Its front leg collapsed beneath its weight. A painful growl echoed through the forest. Ethan turned around. The audience held its collective breath. The humans stared at the predator. The predator stared back. Several long seconds passed. Then Ethan said something no one expected. "Oh." He stood up. "You look hurt." The audience was speechless. The creature clearly outweighed him by several tons. Yet Ethan cautiously approached. The beast growled weakly but didn't attack. Upon closer inspection, Ethan discovered the problem. A large parasitic organism had attached itself beneath one of the creature's scales. The infection around the wound looked severe. "That has to be painful," Ethan said. The viewers expected him to retreat. Instead, he grabbed a medical kit. For nearly 20 minutes, Ethan carefully treated the injured animal. The beast growled several times but never attacked. Finally, Ethan removed the parasite. The creature released a long, exhausted breath. Then something remarkable happened. The predator lowered its head, almost like a gesture of gratitude. The transmission ended shortly afterward. Across the galaxy, Billions immediately began discussing what they had witnessed. The mysterious creature became an overnight sensation. So did Ethan. Over the following weeks, new videos arrived regularly. Ethan documented daily life on Vargos 9. He demonstrated survival techniques. He explored forests. He tested fishing equipment. And the giant predator kept appearing. At first, it merely watched from a distance. Then it began following him. Eventually, it started sleeping near the camp. During one broadcast, Ethan looked toward the creature and shrugged. I guess I should give him a name. The audience erupted with suggestions. Ethan considered several, then tossed a piece of dried meat toward the giant predator. The beast caught it effortlessly. You know what? Ethan said, "You look like a biscuit." The entire galaxy paused. Of all possible names, Biscuit. The predator accepted the title without complaint. From that day forward, Ethan and Biscuit became inseparable. The videos grew even more popular. Children collected Biscuit toys. Adults wore merchandise featuring Ethan's fishing adventures. Entire discussion forums analyzed every new episode. What had begun as a supposed death mission was becoming the most watched series in galactic history. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. Ethan was exploring a previously unmapped region of jungle while Biscuit walked beside him. The forest suddenly opened into a massive clearing. Ancient stone structures rose from the earth. Towering pillars stretched toward the sky. Strange symbols glowed faintly across weathered walls. Ethan stared in amazement. "Well," he said quietly. The camera zoomed in. "That's definitely not natural." Biscuit growled softly. Deep within the ruins, a distant light flickered to life. Then another, and another. Something ancient had awakened. For the first time since arriving on Vargos 9, Ethan stopped smiling. The viewers watching across the galaxy felt the same chill. The no-return planet was hiding a secret, and Ethan had just found it. The secret of the no-return planet. For the first time since arriving on Vargos 9, Ethan Walker returned to his camp without making jokes. The glowing ruins lingered in his thoughts. Something about them felt wrong. Not dangerous in the usual sense. Ancient, purposeful, as if they had been waiting. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers eagerly anticipated his next transmission. The fishing adventures had become a cultural phenomenon, but now everyone wanted answers. What were the ruins? Why did they exist on a planet nobody could escape? And why they suddenly activated after thousands of years? 3 days later, Ethan returned. Naturally, he brought a camera. "Welcome back, everyone," he said while adjusting his equipment. His tone was noticeably more serious. "Today we're exploring those ruins." The audience immediately surged. Scientists, historians, military officials, and curious citizens all tuned in. Beside Ethan, Biscuit walked silently through the jungle. The giant beast seemed unusually alert. His golden eyes constantly scanned the surroundings. Even he appeared uneasy. After several hours, the ruins emerged from the trees once again. Massive stone structures towered overhead. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls. The architecture matched no known civilization. Ethan carefully approached the nearest structure. The moment he touched one of the glowing symbols, something happened. A low vibration spread through the ground. Dust fell from nearby pillars. Ancient machinery awakened. Lights illuminated throughout the complex. The audience watched in stunned silence. A hidden doorway slowly opened. Darkness waited beyond it. Ethan stared at the entrance. "Well," he sighed, "this is probably a terrible idea." Then he walked inside. The galaxy collectively groaned. Inside, the structure contained surprisingly advanced technology. Walls displayed holographic symbols. Machines hummed with dormant power. Somehow, after thousands of years, the facility still functioned. Ethan spent hours exploring. Eventually, he discovered a central chamber. A massive holographic display activated the moment he entered. Rows of ancient text appeared. At first, the language seemed impossible to understand. Fortunately, Ethan possessed Academy translation software. The program struggled, then gradually began decoding fragments. The results shocked everyone. The ruins belonged to an ancient civilization known as the Archon Dominion. Thousands of years earlier, they had controlled hundreds of star systems. They were among the most powerful empires in recorded history. Then they vanished. Historians had searched for evidence of them for centuries. Apparently, the answer had been hiding on Vargos 9 all along. As Ethan continued accessing records, an even darker truth emerged. The audience learned why the planet had earned its terrifying reputation. Vargos 9 had not been a colony. It had been a fortress, a military stronghold. During a catastrophic war, the Archon Dominion constructed an autonomous defense network around the planet. Its purpose was simple: destroy all enemies. The system was never deactivated. For thousands of years, it continued operating automatically. Every expedition that arrived on Vargos 9 had unknowingly triggered the ancient defenses. Every ship, every rescue mission, every explorer, destroyed. The room fell silent. The mystery of the no-return planet had finally been solved. Unfortunately, solving the mystery created a new problem. A very large problem. The holographic display suddenly flashed red. Warning symbols filled the chamber. Biscuit growled. Ethan frowned. "Oh." A mechanical voice echoed through the facility. "Unauthorized presence detected. Threat assessment initiated. Military response activated." The floor shook violently. Throughout the jungle, ancient bunkers opened. Massive armor machines emerged from underground chambers. Across the planet, dormant weapons systems awakened. The audience watched live footage from Ethan's drones. Hundreds of combat units were coming online. Some were larger than buildings. Others flew through the skies like metallic predators. The ancient fortress had mistaken Ethan for an enemy, and it intended to eliminate him. Fast. The first attack occurred less than 10 minutes later. A combat drone burst through the jungle canopy. Red targeting beams locked onto Ethan. The machine fired. Ethan dove behind a stone pillar. The blast shattered ancient rock. Fragments exploded everywhere. Back at the academy, officers immediately prepared emergency rescue plans. But everyone knew the truth. No ship had ever penetrated the planet's defenses. Not successfully. For now, Ethan was alone. Fortunately, humans had a reputation for improvisation, and Ethan Walker was particularly good at it. Instead of fighting directly, he observed the drone's movement patterns. The machine followed predictable attack routines. Ancient routines. Outdated routines. Ethan smiled. That was something he could use. Using debris from the ruins, he lured the drone toward unstable sections of the structure. The machine pursued relentlessly. Moments later, an entire wall collapsed onto it. The drone disappeared beneath thousands of tons of stone. The audience erupted. The victory was small, but it proved something important. The ancient machines were powerful. They were not smart, not compared to a determined human. Over the next several days, Ethan and Biscuit fought their way through the jungle. Each battle attracted even larger audiences. Together, they outmaneuvered drones, escaped traps, and uncovered more information about the ancient fortress. Then Ethan reached the Central Command Archive. There he discovered the worst secret yet. The defense network had not merely awakened. It had concluded that the ancient war was starting again. A final contingency protocol had activated. Planetary sterilization. Every weapon system on Vargos 9 was preparing for total deployment. The countdown appeared on the central display. 71 hours, 59 minutes, 43 seconds. Ethan stared at the timer. Biscuit growled beside him. Across the galaxy, billions watched in horror. If the countdown reached 0, the entire planet would be wiped clean. And Ethan Walker was standing at ground zero, the human who tamed a death world. The countdown glowed above the ancient control console. 71 hours, 59 minutes. Every second that passed brought Vargos 9 closer to destruction. Across the galaxy, billions watched Ethan Walker's live transmissions. What had begun as a bizarre fishing vlog had become the most important broadcast in modern history. Military fleets gathered near the system. Scientists worked around the clock. Governments exchanged emergency messages. Yet none of them could help. The ancient defense network still controlled the planet. Any ship that approached too closely was targeted. For now, Ethan and Biscuit remained alone. Ethan studied the data flowing across the console. The situation was worse than he had expected. The defense system wasn't malfunctioning. It was functioning exactly as designed. Thousands of years earlier, the Archon Dominion had ordered it to continue fighting until the war ended. Unfortunately, nobody had ever informed the system that the war was over. The AI still believed enemy forces were everywhere, and now it had identified modern civilizations as potential threats. Great, Ethan muttered. We're dealing with an immortal security guard who never got the memo. Biscuit snorted. The audience laughed despite the danger. Humor had become Ethan's way of handling impossible situations. But behind the jokes, he was thinking. Humans had survived throughout history, not because they were the strongest species. They survived because they adapted. There had to be a solution. Destroying the defense network wasn't realistic. The system controlled thousands of weapons. No army could defeat it before the countdown ended. That left only one option. Convince it. Several hours later, Ethan located the coordinates of the Central Command Core. The facility sat deep within a forbidden region of the planet. Ancient maps labeled it as the heart of command. If the AI could be reasoned with, that was where it would happen. The journey began immediately. The route crossed mountains, dense forests, and abandoned military zones. Every kilometer brought new dangers. Combat drones hunted them relentlessly. Massive defense turrets emerged from underground silos. Automated patrols guarded every approach. Yet Ethan and Biscuit kept moving. The galaxy watched every step. Children skipped school to follow the broadcasts. Workers streamed updates during breaks. Entire governments delayed meetings to monitor the situation. No one wanted to miss history. During the final day of travel, Ethan and Biscuit entered a vast canyon. The heart of command stood beyond it. Unfortunately, so did the largest defense force they had encountered. Hundreds of machines blocked the path. The audience held its breath. Ethan looked at the army, then looked at Biscuit. You thinking what I'm thinking? Biscuit growled eagerly. Good. The next few minutes became legendary. Using the terrain, Ethan triggered landslides and rockfalls. Combat drones crashed into each other. Defense vehicles became trapped beneath collapsing cliffs. Meanwhile, Biscuit charged directly through enemy lines like a living avalanche. The giant beast smashed machines aside with terrifying strength. When the dust settled, the path stood open. For the first time in thousands of years, someone reached the heart of command. The structure rose from the center of the canyon like a mountain of metal and stone. Its massive doors slowly opened. Ethan stepped inside. The countdown displayed above the entrance. 2 hours, 17 minutes. Time was running out. Deep within the complex, Ethan finally met the intelligence controlling the entire planet. A colossal holographic figure appeared above the central chamber. Its voice echoed like thunder. State military designation. Ethan took a deep breath. My name is Ethan Walker. Military allegiance. Humanity. The AI paused. Faction not recognized. That's because your records are thousands of years old. The hologram remained silent. Then Ethan began explaining. He showed historical archives, translated records, evidence gathered from the ruins, star maps, civilization databases, everything. Hour after hour, he presented proof. The AI challenged every claim. Ethan answered every question. Gradually, the ancient intelligence began comparing his evidence against its own records. The realization came slowly. Then all at once, the war was over. The Archon Dominion was gone. Its enemies were gone. The civilizations of the modern galaxy were not invaders. They were descendants of those who came after. For several moments, silence filled the chamber. Finally, the AI spoke. Mission status update. The countdown froze. Primary conflict concluded. Lights throughout the facility changed from red to white. Defense protocol terminated. Across the planet, weapons systems powered down. Orbital cannons shut off. Combat drones ceased operation. The no-return planet was no longer a prison. Cheers erupted across the galaxy. People cried, celebrated, laughed. For the first time in centuries, Vargos 9 was safe. Minutes later, rescue fleets entered orbit without resistance. Dropships descended through the atmosphere. The first human and alien teams landed beside the command facility. When they emerged, they found Ethan sitting calmly outside, fishing rod in hand, Biscuit resting nearby. One officer stared at him in disbelief. "You saved an entire planet." Ethan shrugged. "Yeah." The officer pointed toward the fishing rod. "Are you fishing right now?" "There's a river nearby." The officer closed his eyes. "Of course there is." Months later, Ethan returned to the Galactic Academy as a hero. The cadet nobody wanted had become the most famous human in the galaxy. Scientists gained access to priceless knowledge from the Archon Dominion. Explorers mapped Vargos 9. Historians rewrote entire sections of galactic history. As for Ethan, he declined most offers of promotion and prestige. Instead, he chose a simpler path. One peaceful morning, a new video appeared on the Galactic Network. Billions received the notification. The title read, "Fishing with Biscuit, Episode 47, Giant River Monsters of Vargos 9. The viewer count exploded instantly. The first scene showed Ethan standing beside a beautiful river. Biscuit lounged nearby. Ethan smiled at the camera. "Hey everyone." He cast his line into the water. "Today we're trying a new bait." And once again, the entire galaxy tuned in. Because humanity's greatest strength had never been its weapons, fleets, or technology. It was the uniquely human ability to face the unknown, make friends with monsters, and somehow turn a death world into home. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like and comment to watch more such interesting videos. Subscribe to my channel and press the like icon.